Hey everyone, my name is Dante and welcome back to Story Hub, your hub for the best stories on Reddit. Am I an idiot for sleeping top naked in my bedroom? My female, 18, mom and I live in a crummy apartment complex in NYC. Our apartment itself isn't crummy. We've taken a lot of pride in making the inside of our apartment look nicer than it really is. But truth be told, the building is crummy. So much so that the radiator in my room is broken, and I get heat every day of the year, even in summer. I prefer not to open my windows during summer as well because all types of questionable creepy crawlies like to come through the window, so I usually sleep on top of the covers or without pants. Last night it was too hot, so I slept without a shirt or bra. I have pretty huge boobs, it's no secret, but I was in the comfort of my bedroom and I kept my door closed when I slept. This morning I woke up to find my mom staring at me. She scared me shitless, especially because I have a loft bed and was making direct eye contact with her as soon as I opened my eyes. She stood there and screamed at me for 20 minutes telling me to put a shirt on and calling me a ruthless whore for sleeping without a shirt while her boyfriend was there. I put a pillow in front of my body and closed my eyes to go back to sleep. This wasn't good enough, and she ripped the pillow from my arms and told me to put on some clothes before her boyfriend came in here and saw me like this. I told her I keep my door closed for a reason. And if she's worried about her boyfriend bothering me, that's more telling of her boyfriend, not me. She was absolutely seething and told me I'm to live under her rules while I'm in her house, and that includes not being trashy and sleeping with some clothes on. I figured she was being ridiculous, but her boyfriend heard the commotion and ended up coming into the room to get her, without knocking mind you, and left me flailing to find a sheet to cover with. He was kind of eyeing me and told me my mom was right and I need to sleep with clothes on. I'm having a hard time understanding. Am I really an idiot here? Edit. No, I can't lock my door. She won't allow me to replace the doorknob with one that comes with a lock. Additional edit. Please stop freaking messaging me asking me to see my breasts. People are asking me what mentioning the size of my boobs had to do with the post, and it was one of the arguments my mother made for me to wear a shirt. Yes, in hindsight it doesn't come into play, but I was annoyed when I wrote the post and rethinking the entire situation. For those calling this fake, saying I'd die under the conditions I'm describing and to just get window screens, that doesn't help when the heat outside is so thick and gross. It's just extra hot air, not to mention unpredictable rainstorms that I have to constantly close the window for anyway. Additionally, I have a phobia of bugs and the screens don't seem to stop cockroaches and spiders. Thank you to everyone for messaging me with helpful tips. It's hard to respond to everyone, but I see and appreciate your help. I'll be purchasing a doorstop soon, as well as find time to discuss with my mom what her blow-up was about. We have a pretty decent relationship outside of this, which is why this shocked me and had me confused as to whether I was wrong or not. Update. Hi everyone. I wanted to give an update on the situation since a lot of people were really concerned for me. After the whole debacle, I did purchase a wedge under my door from Walmart. It worked, and I didn't have any more issues with waking up to people in my face. I used the excuse that it was to keep our cat from opening my door at night, and my mom seemed fine with that. While he was here and even after he was gone, my mom seemed detached and sort of out of it. I asked if everything was okay and she said she needed to sort out some feelings first, but she promised we'd talk when she was better. I said okay and left it at that. Couple days later, he came back for another weekend stay. The day after he came, they had an at-home date night with drinks and fancy takeout, and that night I woke up to my door being messed with. I called out to see if it's my mom, and got no response. I pulled on a t-shirt and shorts and pulled the door wedge out to check, and he is standing at my door. He was drunk, and I was a bit panicked because I thought something had happened to my mom and he needed help, but he just stood there for a few seconds without saying anything. He didn't seem to be sleepwalking or in peril, so I said I'm uncomfortable. I'm closing my door. Before I could close the door all the way, my mom flew out her room, saw him, and started cussing and screaming and telling him he needed to leave. They argued back and forth for a while, but eventually she got him out the door. After calming her down, I took her to her room and we had a talk. It turns out, the day she had came into my room, she had been on his phone and saw he was talking to his brother-in-law about me in very disgusting ways, talking about how I was growing up to be very shapely and mature, and that he couldn't wait until I moved out so he could dump my mother for me. He said far more explicit things that were all extremely worrying, especially since we've known him since I was 11. My mom had come to tell me to be careful around him while she thought of a way to break it off safely, but when she saw my state she had some misplaced anger. He's out of our lives now, thankfully. Not an idiot. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your room. She and her boyfriend should stay out of it. If she's that worried about him being in your room, maybe the real issue is that she's dating someone she doesn't trust, who is a creep. Not an idiot. Honestly, your mom sounds horrible, and I'm worried that your living situation might be dangerous given the boyfriend. As an adult, it might be better for you to look for your own place, or to perhaps move in with a trusted friend. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for telling a social worker the real reason my sister wants a foster kid? I'm female, 28, and I have a sister who is 36. For the sake of story, I'll just call Jane. Jane is married to Bob and they have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. My niece and nephew are wonderful kids and no trouble at all. They fight as siblings do, but nothing big. I love them. Now for about 2 years, I have lived with my sister. It was a miserable time that really affected our relationship. She saw me as free labor, money and babysitting. Even when I managed to get a small part-time job, she demanded I hand over nearly half my pay or get out. It was hell as she took completely advantage of me. I moved out as soon as I could and we have little contact outside of family gatherings. Now after I moved out, she started complaining how she has no help with the kids and never gets a break. I babysit sometimes, but I have made it clear, just cause I'm off work doesn't mean I want an 8-hour day with my niece and nephew. Anyway, she started talking about how she wanted to foster a kid. Not a kid but a teenager. I pressed her for more info on this. She wants to adopt a teenager so she has a live-in babysitter for her kids. This is her logic. I want a kid around 16 or 17. You know, someone who may have been in the system for a while. They can share a room with your nephew. She only has a 3-bedroom house, or sleep in the garage. They can help me with housework, chores, cook, and help me with my business. She bakes and sells cookies. Also babysits the kids so me and Bob can go out sometimes or have some alone time. They'll be so grateful for a home and won't complain. I won't have to pay them at all. And then when they turn 18, I can just sign up for another foster kid. A teenager will be so much easier than a little kid. They will be grateful just to have a roof, food, siblings if they have been separated from their real ones, and clothes. I was horrified. Told her it was a horrible idea. She didn't listen to me. She went on with it anyway. About a month ago, a social worker showed up at my apartment to ask me some questions about my sister. She had put me down as a character witness or something like that. I immediately told the social worker why my sister really wanted to foster a kid and how she treated me when I lived with her. The lady thanked me. My sister called crying, saying that she wouldn't be considered for any adoptions or fosters. The social worker told her that they felt her home and her weren't a good fit. She asked if I said anything and I told the truth. She went off on me, hung up, and we haven't spoken since. She has sent some angry texts. A couple family members are on her side. They think foster kids are freaking dogs or something and would be so happy just to have a roof and would gladly do all the housework. So am I an idiot here? Not an idiot. Kids aren't slaves and shouldn't be treated as such. I'm glad you got out of living with your sister, because she sounds difficult to live with, and you absolutely did the right thing to prevent a child from being treated like you did. Not an idiot. What you did was the only ethical option. Not only is this treating another human being like a literal house slave, and a disposable one at that, but older fosters tend to have been through a horrifying amount of abuse that means they often need a lot of help themselves. Honestly, the plan to have him live in the same room as the younger children is generally not allowed for that exact reason. It's incredibly common for sexually abused children to repeat the behavior to other children because they don't know better and it's been normalized. And I'm guessing the garage plan wasn't even mentioned to the social worker because that is right out. Older foster children are generally harder to place exactly because they generally need so much work. But all your sister sees is free labor, unless she somehow lucks out with actual Cinderella. Her flippin' plan is not only cruel but exposing her own children to potential physical and sexual abuse, drugs, whatever horrible things the foster child had to do to survive. Also, I'd extremely not trust any family member that is on her side. You shouldn't be celebrated by adopting a child for your own gain. This is just a genteel version of Victorian men scooping up orphans and forcing them to work as chimney sweeps and coal miners, then discarding them when they get too big to do the work.